going to say something that's going to sound wrong the moment you hear it. And this is going to be the hardest conversation about Epstein we're going to have. I'm being honest. The Epstein case was not a failure. It wasn't a failure. It was a successful containment event. And I want you to acknowledge that before we go anywhere. Because there is not a list. Because a list implies that something went undiscovered. Right? Nothing important here is undiscovered. There is girls. There were flights. There were houses, witnesses, settlements, a conviction. There was everything. And after all that, the system continued to do business with them. That's what happened. It's not even ignorance. It's literally an evaluation they conducted. And there's a sentence in all of this that you're not really supposed to say. That some crimes are tolerated because stopping them would destabilize the people who run things. I want you to understand they're relational inside of the system they live in. That's all they are. Relational inside of the system they live in. And that's the one sentence that's radioactive and you never get to hear it. Because the media wants you to believe that there's danger in what's hidden. Right, it isn't. There's danger in what's known and absorbed. Because once you realize that, you'll stop asking who's on the list. You'll say something much more dangerous than that. I want to hear more dangerous speech out there. What else is being allowed because it's cheaper than stopping it? That's what I want you to talk like. Because that's the one question that gets people cut off stage all the time. So let me make this more uncomfortable for you. Because I'm being honest with you. This will be the most serious conversation about Epstein we're ever going to have. The women are still here. They are. They were never the missing evidence. They were the inconvenient version of proof. Their existence should have ended everything, but the fact that it didn't means that the system already made its choice. And that choice is not about guilt. It was about cost. So the media goes even further than this, right? Because there's a sentence that they could have said by now that I'm going to say for you, okay? I'm going to say for you. If a predator is rich enough, mobile enough, and socially insulated enough, there was no reliable mechanism in modern civilization that could stop them early. Guess what they can do with them? Settle afterward, litigate later, reframe the story, and move on. That's all they can do. And that's not a bug. This is literally the design limit of the society. Because no one at the top is panicking, but I want you to understand why. I want you to understand why. Because exposure does not threaten power. Right? It doesn't. Exposure to power is just bad weather to them. Recognition does. Recognition forces the admission that justice is conditional. And once that's admitted publicly, the story holding the system together collapses, right? But that's why the conversation is so childish too. I want you to really get your head around this. Names, lists, speculation, drama. But if we all stay with the adult conversation for more than 10 seconds, people might realize something irreversible. So I'm going to say the most irreversible thing that you could ever hear right now. We do not live in a system that prioritizes preventing harm. We don't. We live in a system that prioritizes surviving it. Epstein did not expose the hidden underworld. No, he exposed the upper boundary of accountability. He showed exactly how far harm can go before power says that's enough. That's all he showed. And that boundary is actually much further out than anybody can admit. Than anybody even wants to admit. So when you hear somebody say, why won't they just release everything? Why won't they just come forward? Well, understand what they're really asking for. Understand what's really going on. They want reassurance that this is still just a normal scandal and a normal ending. That's what they want. But it isn't, right? This was a systems demonstration. I want you to lock in. This was a systems demonstration and the system passed. It just takes away your last comfort, right? Your last comfort. That if something is bad enough, someone else is going to stop it. But history says otherwise every single day. We do not have a system that could check an Epstein-style character.